Hey friends, welcome back. This is Ann, author of hiddenfarmlife.com, and today I am making cinnamon rolls. I'm recipe testing, and I normally don't share a recipe until I have flushed it out completely and made sure that it completely works, but I thought, you know what? Let's throw caution to the wind and do it together. So that's what we're doing today. So let's get started. So to begin, I am going to place my flour in the mixing bowl of my mixer, my stand mixer. If you don't have one of these, do it by hand. You're gonna make some muscles doing this. And then I am going to just take a nice whisk and aerate this a little bit. I'm using all-purpose flour. You can use bread flour for this recipe. You can use a mixture like my home blend. I just like to recipe test something brand new with all-purpose. So to that, I am going to add some sugar, and I'm using my organic cane sugar. I have some salt, and I am going to put in some quick yeast, or I guess you would call it fast acting yeast, and I am going to bring that all together. And then to this, I am going to add, this is some milk, butter, and coconut oil that I have melted, and it's almost, yeah, it's about lukewarm. So I'm going to go ahead and add that to the bowl. Ooh, I'm so noisy. I'm such a noisy cook. And then I am going to add some sourdough starter. And this sourdough starter is fresh. It was fed, and I'm going to add some, I don't know, can you see all those nice bubbles? So I'm just going to scoop some out and add that to my bowl. And I know this looks messy, and I do need to clean my jar. I think that looks good. So I'm going to put that back. I'm going to go ahead and turn the mixer on. So I'm going to pause the camera because you don't need to hear that. And then I will be back. Okay, a few side notes. While I had the camera turned off while I was mixing, I added some vanilla and an egg, and I did end up adding a bit more flour than I started with. So I'm going to put those notes into my recipe. But I needed the dough in this mixer, and you absolutely can do this by hand, but I needed this in the mixer for about 10 minutes. And what you want is something, let's see if you can see that. It's see how it's pulling? Do this hand. It's pulling, and you can make little indentations, but it's just come together. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to place this dough into a prepared bowl and get that into the oven. I have in my Viking stove, and I know not everyone has a Viking stove. I'm a very lucky girl. I am going to proof this in my proofing oven. You can absolutely look online and learn how to set up your oven as a proofing oven, but that's what this is. I am going to put a cloth over this and put it in the proofing oven for about an hour, hour and a half, maybe even 2 hours, depending on how long it takes for it to expand and double. So I'll see you back here when that happens. Okay, it's been a couple of hours, and you can see the dough has risen, and you can see how it's poofy. So what we're going to do is remove this from here. Before I do that, I'm going to lightly flour the surface and just make sure that it doesn't stick to the counter. And then I'm going to go ahead and turn this out. Oh, look at all those nice air bubbles. This is going to be so yummy. Hopefully. Remember, we're testing. And then what I'm going to do is make this, it's already taking the form of a rectangle, and I want to roughly make it into approximately, I don't know, 10 by 15, I guess. So I'm going to do that, and then to the side, while that was proofing, I mixed together some butter, brown sugar, homemade brown sugar. I can link that video above, and some cinnamon, and I just mixed that together until it was nice and crumbly. I am going to finish my rectangle and then put this onto the rectangle, so I'll come back when I've got that done. Now that I have the cinnamon and sugar, or the cinnamon brown sugar and butter mixture spread evenly over the dough, it could have been a little bit better back here, but I'm in a hurry. I'm going to use my bench scraper and just start rolling the side closest to me. And we want to try to make this as tight of a roll as possible and get it really rolled up into a log. And I might need a little bit more flour here. You can put flour underneath and it will help. Usually I do this on the granite, but I'm having electrical work done in my kitchen, so I don't really have electric on part of my kitchen, and I'm trying to use the natural sunlight from the window to do this video. So anyway, there we go. So now we have it all rolled up. We're going to put that seam side down, and we're going to go ahead and cut this into rolls. Okay, I've buttered my pan, and several of you have asked me where I got my pan, and you can see this is not a new pan. Actually, my great-grandfather made this pan for my great-grandmother, so I couldn't even tell you where to get it. I do know in some antique stores I've seen similar. I also have a smaller one, about half this size, that he made, and it's worked so well. I use it for so much. But anyway, I'm going to put the cinnamon rolls in here, and I prefer to cut them with a very nice serrated knife. Lots of people use floss, string. I like to use a serrated knife, and I'm going to go with a fairly large cut on these rolls and just place them in the pan. And I'm not exactly sure how many I'm going to get, and I'm just going to mush them down a little bit. So I'm going to go ahead and cut these up and get them in the pan, and then I will be back. I ended up getting about 10 cinnamon rolls. I am going to place this back in my proofing oven for about 45-60 minutes, or until these have doubled. The cinnamon rolls have risen, and I am going to put some heavy cream over the top, and I am going to bake these in a 350 to 375 oven. I'm going to check the temperature as they're baking, and probably I'll have to get back to you on time. So let me put them in the oven and see how long it takes. I just pulled the cinnamon rolls out of the oven. They are nice and golden brown, and I'm gonna let them cool, and I will show you what I have to put on top of them before we eat them. I made a little frosting here of some cream cheese, a little bit of butter, powdered sugar, milk, and some maple syrup, some salt, and I'm going to put it on the cinnamon roll that just came out of the oven. I did let this cool a little bit, but my gang really likes the frosting. I'm trying to do this one-handed while I'm holding the camera so you can watch. And I'm just gonna glob that on there. And moment of truth, we will see what this is like. Okay, here's my official taste tester. You can go ahead. He's like the dog that was sitting there waiting to be told they could eat. Go ahead, he's completely unbiased.
So good.
There you go. It's the best he's ever had, right? So I hope you've enjoyed this. I think from my husband's reaction, and my daughter tasted it, and she said it was pretty good. It actually brought tears to her eyes. Recipe forthcoming on the blog, so look for that. Until next time, we'll see you soon, and thanks for watching. Bye-bye.